Oh my goodness gracious! How is being a dad? There's so much to say. I love it so much. I love staring into her eyes and like wonder what
Oh.
she's thinking. Um, it's the best blessing. It's something that people have said to me prior, like people who have kids that are
Hmm.
maybe my age or kids that are a little bit older than our daughter, things like that. They
Hmm.
say like you won't know what it's like until you experience it. And I can see why, because I thought, I was like, okay, that makes sense, but I kind of think I know what it's going to be like, but nope,
Yeah.
I don't know anything
You gotta
until
feel
she's
it.
actually here. So I'm
Absolutely.
really enjoying it. Thank you for asking.
Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you so
Very
much. I
exciting.
want to go right. So I was looking on your Instagram. I was stalking you just now. Okay, I was doing a little stalking,
Oh no.
and I want to start right off
What's
the
the
bat.
verdict?
Yeah, well, no, I want to hear about the showcase that y'all did. And before we do,
Oh
actually,
yeah.
let me see if you're are you able to increase your mic level a little bit?
I can. Yeah.
Okay, see
One
if you
sec.
can increase that. 'Cause I can increase my monitor, but I think it might just need to go up a bit.
Okay. How's that?
That's good.
Is that better?
That's
Okay.
good.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
almost. I can go a little bit higher if you need, but yeah.
Well, just you might as well just go higher. Then in that case, if
Okay.
you can go
Let's
higher,
do
I
it. Let's do
mean,
it.
you
I don't.
know.
It's that's the thing is my mix is different than yours, so I'm like, oh, it's great. No,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's low.
So you don't want to be too hot, kind of thing, and right, that's what you're probably.
I can turn my monitors down though. You know what I mean? Like that's not
Okay,
bad. I just
gotcha,
was like,
gotcha.
oh no, it sounds good. Okay, we're good.
Got
Let me
it.
know.
Okay, perfect. No, that's perfect. Yep. And then obviously on the editing, like I can normalize and all that good stuff. But yeah, I would love to. So first of all, yeah, I want to hear about that experience. I want to hear about like what gave you the idea for it. How did it go? Because I didn't get a chance to kind of tune in, and I see that you're having another one coming up. So like, talk to me
Hmm.
about like what that was all about.
Well, the thing is, I kind of want to start a little further back, like of like, especially with that. I didn't even, I would love to talk about that, honestly, because it is for the next 2 months going to be like my whole life,
Yeah.
up
Okay.
until the show. So it is happening on the 25th of June. The thing that led to that show initially was me moving to California because truly I had this big realization when I moved, and it was like, how do you meet people? How do you make friends in a new city?
Mm-hmm.
It's like work, school, like church, if you're into that, and just
Mm-hmm.
like there's only these specific avenues. In my job, everybody lives everywhere, not
Mm-hmm.
even on the same continent. My friends don't even live on the same continent as me,
Mm-hmm.
like half of
Mm-hmm.
them. So, um, I actually met friends, started meeting friends here that were like streamer friends that were in California. There's so many. And I'm in Orange County, but like all I have to do is, drive an hour and I'm in LA and there's so many people. There's so many streamers there. And there's
Yeah.
actually a lot of music streamers too. And so I started doing co-streams and I just like
Mm-hmm.
loved every minute of it. It's funny because people think co-streams are a lot of work. You got to set up, you got to make sure, especially with music, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sound engineering that goes on and we're not all sound engineers, but I love it. I love that
Mm-hmm.
combination of taking that virtual space and we still have all these viewers that get to watch us perform together and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I loved that aspect and I was very inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming out here, I kept trying to, I found myself like, I wanted to do co-streams and invite other people.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be like, like I co-stream with Heavenly right now. I co-stream with her all the time, and I'm like, how fun would it be to get other people in that room? And so it
Mm-hmm.
was just like a big group of us partying. I've actually tried to do that on several occasions. So
Mm-hmm.
it was almost like I was trying to do a version of this
Yeah.
a long time ago. As far as specifically Late Night Buzz actually started out as a talk show. So it was just going to be me bringing on other guests, whether it was virtual or in person. And not
Wow.
even bringing on other guests, it was a space for me and my community to open up about things like mental health and just like things that we're going through, like a safe space, and just to
Mm-hmm.
talk about anything. And so originally I would just kind of like play piano, like vamp a little bit, and just,
Mm-hmm.
we would talk about things. And I started realizing it's just kind of this incorporation of these things that I'm finding that I'm loving is hanging out with other musicians and kind of making relationships with them and just like all my friends, like literally meeting my friends in person. That's really what it came down
Mm.
to. And the combination
Yeah.
of that with this talk show. And so it really did morph to the show. And the first one was, I don't know. I don't know that I had a goal, like I had a vision for it, but especially it was after the first show that I was like, I think I know what this could be now. Like I think
Mm.
now that I've done one and I've seen how excited people did get, but maybe what was more needed for the live
Mm-hmm.
aspect. And we worked
Mm-hmm.
really hard on the stream. Like that's what was like a lot of my focus. And I realize now too, okay, well, this is a live show. This is something that is pretty new to me. But you know, so I have to learn. I have to have help. I need to be willing to ask for help, and that's been something that's a newer thing for me, being able to delegate. And I do have a good crew of people now, actually, that are excited to be part of this next show and help out a lot. So I'm excited. It's we actually confirmed the lineup. We confirmed the date. Everything's happening. It's June 25th, same place, Moon Goat Coffee in Costa Mesa, and I'm really, really excited. So I don't know if you know, I leaked the lineup already, but I haven't posted it online yet.
Okay.
So I said stream. I promised my viewers they heard it first. So it's out there. It's on a VOD.
Okay. That's so incredible. I love the enthusiasm you have. I love the background. I love how you kind of went back to kind of say what was the genesis of this idea. And you know, there's a lot to unpack there, but anytime I hear someone talk about something that's inspiring to them and exciting to them, I love hearing that. I love kind of unpacking that further, because I know what it feels like to have something that I'm excited about, and I also know what it feels like to have something I'm excited about to share with someone who is not in a similar lane as I am, and not be able to get that sense of like to get the point across or the excitement level. But when we're talking the same language, so to speak, here, I can totally relate to that. So if I understood correctly, the first one that you did and this next one that you're doing, these are Twitch streamers that are physically all in the same place, right? As opposed to other things. Okay. Because I've seen ones where there's like a lineup and they're all virtual, you know, kind of thing. But this is different. This is everyone.
This is different.
Coming. So have people come from far, like from different, like further locations to the first one, or like how far would people travel?
Well, the first one. So do you mean as artists or like as viewers? We did have
artists,
some viewers. Well, okay. So as artists, for the first show, all California based artists, and you know, whether it was like LA or this area, more in Orange County. So that was I'm trying to think. Yeah, every single artist. For the next show, we actually have two people that are not California streamers that are actually from the other side of the country. So I'm very, very excited.
That's really something. Yeah.
So, and then I also have plans, I don't know when, but we have plans for a show that isn't in California. And I do love that idea as well. Obviously that's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of moving factors or something like that, but I know that people are excited about it. So the reason I know that people in other places, at least in the US, is what I think I can focus on right now.
Sure.
I have done, I did a raid train as like openers, basically, for the show. So they were our virtual artists. And it was hourly, 12 hours before the show. And so that's
cool.
And so, right. And so my main goal with that, which I hesitate to say this, I think it's just going to be a goal. Maybe it won't always happen, but my goal is to have at least one person from the raid train perform in the next show, because I really like that idea of like, okay, well, you're going to be a virtual artist now, but who knows, maybe one day we can actually like in person. And I do mean that. I would love to do that. So that's one thing. So far we're doing that. We actually have one person in this next show that was in the raid train from the last one. Yeah. And then, just a continuation of that though, there's so many artists. Like if I was to go to like Seattle, there is a group of music streamers that would maybe not all be in Seattle, but they would travel and they would come. Like some of them have gear that they'd be willing to let us use. That's the other thing too. Is like, I'm finding that this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be in some aspects. The first show I wanted to do everything by myself, and I was so set on that, and that was a big mistake, because you can't. You know what I mean? Like I only have so many spoons. And this next one, I'm actually asking friends to help. Like, do you have equipment we could use? Like, what can we do to make this easier on all of us? That's the other thing. If I go to Seattle, I can't bring all of my gear. You know what I mean? I can't bring everything. I can't bring my PA. So, you know, so we are going to be, it is a collaboration. Like in a sense, all of these are collaborations, as well as truly a live show, which is really fun. But then again, too, I have a show in Nashville that I really want to do, and I am actually looking at venues right now. So that one would be really fun, because Nashville just has a ridiculous amount of Twitch streamers. Like it's unfortunate. Like my viewers joke about, like, can we make this like a 2-day thing? And I'm like, you want me to organize 2 days of streamers? But the thing is there's enough streamers. Like there's more than enough streamers for 2 days. This next show, I have 11 streamers as well. So, and I just like packed. I'm like, okay, we can't do any more. That's my that is the limit. But but that's it's the point is there's so many streamers that I know like I want to see them live.
Yeah,
like, okay, where's your live show that I can come to and watch myself? So this is just a continuation of that. So.
A lot to talk about. When I talked to Raquel, I remember talking to her about sort of one of her most memorable experiences doing one of her, I guess, first live shows after building that online community. And one thing that really resonated with me was her saying how amazing that moment is where you get to meet and fans get to meet you, right? People that you interact with and vice versa. And so now that is what happened, I'm sure, at the first one and will continue to happen at the one in June. But now it's sort of amplified because, you know, there's multiple people. And I'm sure that some of the audience members who are there for maybe primarily one of their favorite streamers probably have at least heard of or maybe have even spent time in, I'm sure, in the other streamers. So like that's like a win-win because now they're traveling not just to see one person, but they're traveling for like a full-on show. I feel like there's an extraordinarily high amount of excitement that I have just hearing about this, as well as not even potential, but just the ability. Potential to me is a little bit more like it can happen, but it will happen if you want it to. And clearly, you know, you're putting the steps in place to make it happen, of making this become something that's bridging the gap, right? The Twitch world and now being able to do things in person. We all know that like both sides have their benefits, of course. But now finding a smart and strategic and interesting and fun way to kind of incorporate those together. You mentioned Nashville. That got my attention. I was in Nashville not exactly, but almost exactly a year ago for spring break. My wife and I went out there and, yeah, that's Nashville's such a nice. I mean, it's cool. So nice. You've been, I'm sure, before.
I have only been one time.
Okay.
But I would like to go back this next time. I have some plans to like really experience it too.
Yeah.
And that's the other beautiful thing about all of this is all of a sudden, as I go to visit Nashville, I'm not going alone. I'm going to meet up with a bunch of friends that I already know.
Right.
These are not strangers to me. We're meeting in person for the first time, but it's like. Yeah, I'm actually going to visit my friends in Nashville and we're all going to do a show together. Like that's literally the vibe of Late Night Buzz. And it's hard because, again, I don't ever want this to be this exclusive thing. I kind of wish I could do a 2 or 3 day festival and just be like, let's get as many artists as we can. But either way, the nice thing is all these artists can go to these shows and network with each other, meet each other. Like it's a space for viewers and it is a space for streamers as well. Some streamers don't want to meet each other. That's fine. But I'm finding that most of the time, if there's an opportunity where they can, they at least want to meet, you know. It's kind of a cool thing. You know?
Absolutely. Hearing this is making me, so I haven't streamed in a long time. I took like a nice big break from it, right? To kind of focus on other areas of music, focus on becoming a father and doing other things. On this show, you know, continuing to highlight other people like yourself. And so what this is kind of doing for me right now is reminding me about the immense amount of fun that it was when I was doing it, right? Like just the whole vibe. Yeah, just that whole vibe is just something special there that I'm excited. I know that I'm going to eventually get back to it once I kind of figure out how to, like my biggest challenge, Julie, was the fact that I had a mindset that just because I can stream at any given time, that I should stream at any given time. Ooh. Meaning, if I'm practicing piano or if I'm making a beat or whatever, like I felt like, oh, here's potential, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube, which is my main home base, or Reddit or Instagram or Facebook, there's potential that people might want to see what I'm doing, which is definitely true. I mean, there's a good word for potential there. People probably might want to see what I'm doing, and therefore it would be, as a content creator, as a person who's branding myself, it would be foolish this is again my mindset. Obviously, in hindsight, no, that's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But it would be foolish not to put up a stream so people can kind of watch and see what's going on. But I had to kind of learn that that's just not the, I'm smiling about it now because it's a self of awareness, but it's not the right strategy at all.
Well, it's just to me that I understand on like such a real level, because stuff like that will haunt, even now will haunt me. But one thing I think you've already said it, like you've already kind of had to learn it too, is just like, I mean, for me, that was a recipe for burnout. Like to just feel like, instead of kind of, having, this is my stream, this is what I'm streaming, this is that. And then like, I like, for me, playing piano for no reason for a while just became like this. I didn't do that. I didn't even know what that meant. I was like, well,
yeah.
and the other thing too is writing is hard because it's work and it's therapeutic and it's also like, I love it. Like it's my passion. So if I sit down and I want to write either piano music, lyrics, whatever I'm writing, yeah, it's technically work. So it is you kind of get that into your head. If you're doing what you're doing and it's also part of content creation, it kind of feels like it's all work. Like, and you could work 24/7. That's the thing about being about content creation. You could work 24/7 and you still don't accomplish all the things that you want to anyways. But there's more than 24 hours of work in a day for that.
Oh, 1,000%. Someone I was talking to yesterday, who is a host of his own podcast, and I was, he's gracious enough to take some time out to talk to me. He has a really great, audience. His podcast is called Passion Pod. And he said something that really resonated. He was saying, so his podcast is about interviewing people who are passionate about the things that they do. Kind of similar to mine. Mine is, more geared towards creators and artists and stuff. But he was saying how, in addition to that, he also has a skate shop, which is like a community center for like the youth and stuff. So like a mentoring thing that he does. He's also involved with the township and things like that out in Wisconsin or near Wisconsin where he lives. And he said that, he's blessed and grateful that he's able to spend all of his time doing things that he's passionate about, and that if he had a regular job, those three things that I just mentioned, he would probably be doing as a hobby anyway. So that to me was a thing where, okay, that makes a ton of sense. But then he said on the other side that because of that, so that's a positive, but the other side of that is because you're so excited about the things that you're doing, it is so easy to fall into exactly what you just said. Without those, as we know, like those boundaries of when you are doing things deliberate for your business or for content creation or whatever, and when you're not, and being, I guess, really super intentional about that separation, right?
It's so, I'm like sitting here nodding along like I do that, and I'm so good at it, and I'm over here like, it is so hard for me to take a break. It is so hard, and it's one of those things too where you really just like nailed it. When you're passionate about it, it might not feel like work. It's only like afterward, like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm really into what I'm doing, it might not even feel like work, but that doesn't mean that I'm not like overworking myself and like still, the burnout is there. It's a hard one though. I think that's a hard balance. So I feel your pain with all that for sure.
It's one that I'm sure a lot of us can totally relate to. All right, so I want to circle back to you when you were younger. So tell me a little bit about like who you were as a young Julie Clark.
Well, I am originally from Romania. I was born there. And then I was adopted when I was a baby. So I actually grew up in the United States. And I was adopted with another girl. We are not biologically sisters. We're 2 months apart. But she's also from Romania. And so I basically grew up with a twin. It felt like I grew up with like a twin.
Wow.
And,
how cool.
Anyway, so I grew up in Idaho and then moved to Utah for college. I graduated from the University of Utah. My majors were international studies with an emphasis in foreign relations and security. And then I also ended up doing getting a political science major or degree, but I'm not using either of those. I did an internship and a couple internships, like working for politicians and just like international things. And I just realized I didn't like it. And so that was a problem. I was like, crap, I'm actually not passionate about a lot of this.
Yeah.
And then I was supposed to be, I took the LSAT. I was going to go to law school. I had all these goals, and it really did hit me one time. I took the LSAT once and I didn't get the score that I wanted for the school that I wanted. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to take it again. And I'm in the middle of studying for that. And I'm like, I don't even want to be a lawyer. Like, this is the problem. Like, I'm like, why am I doing all this?
Yeah,
political
yeah.
science, I'm just like going into that Washington. No, I'm like, wait a second. I literally don't. I am not passionate about what I'm doing. One thing I will say too is music has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. My parents put all the kids in my family in piano lessons from ages 8 to 18, and that was literally
Okay.
just like part of my life and existence. And it took probably like it was like 6 or 7 years of piano, like just lessons and things like that, before I started realizing I liked like writing. And like I'm wanting to make my own piano arrangements. I'm writing
Yeah.
lyrics. Like I didn't have a whole lot of training growing up singing. That's something I'm doing right now. Like I'm literally
Okay.
for some of the first times, like having like with a professional actually taking voice lessons. I always did choir and things
Wow.
like that, but this
Sure.
is kind of the first time in my life that I'm like, okay, well, I'm singing, making money singing. I should probably like train
Put
and
little.
you
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
And then
How is that coming along? Do
it's
you enjoy the lessons?
I enjoy the lessons and I enjoy the progress. It is so hard to have this disconnect between the years of I played piano for I don't even want to say how many years since I was 8. That's what I'll
Uh-huh.
say.
There
But
you
like I
go.
played
Love
piano
it.
for so many years, and so I don't even think about it. You know what I mean? It's not. It's just like it's in my bones, it's in my blood. But it's like with vocals, it's not like that, and it's that disconnect and just kind of working towards that. Everybody has that. Everybody has those
Oh
things
yeah.
that they're better at, and that you just the hours that you put in and the time that's spent. And I see people in my chat say it. I hear people say it all the time. They're like, I wish I would have started as a kid in this thing they're trying to learn as an adult. And I'm like, yeah, that's me in piano. I did get really, I was, I'm very grateful to my parents that they pushed for all of us to at least have an instrument. And piano it's so therapeutic for me now, and like it's
Ooh.
so much a part of me. So, but again, vocals, we're getting there with that one, and I enjoy that too. I'm passionate about singing as well, and I write a lot of lyrics, so I'm like I would like to put out music with lyrics as well. So
Yeah. Well, tell me that I love that. I could totally uh well, not totally relate, because I started learning piano actually when I turned 30 a few years ago. It's like was like my 30-year-old goal. I'm turning the next milestone. I want to kind of get into this, and just kind of took it and just very much just ran with it. Of course, because I wanted to and really wanted to, as opposed to the being told that you have to do it, which is something that's important, right? Because I took a year of lessons in 6th grade, and I would have loved to have continued doing it. But at that time, as a kid, I didn't know that that was something that was as important to me as, in hindsight, it ended up being. But in terms of your lyrics and writing, so you said you love doing that. So that's something that I would say, in order for my musicality of the piano and production and all these other things, and singing now, which I do. I haven't taken lessons, but that's something I can maybe see myself doing eventually at some point, because I also 1000% love singing, like love this microphone and playing chords. Like it's something different about that, which I haven't done in a long time, since I was only really doing that during my streams. Like if I'm just sitting here, I usually don't really just sing into the mic, but I will start doing that again just because it's so much fun. But I want to know from your end about like the lyrics. Like that's something that I want to explore more. And a bit of a realization that I had was that it might sound as to someone who's written a lot of lyrics, a lot of songs don't have to rhyme. I thought that they did have to rhyme, but I was listening to a song, because a lot of songs do rhyme, like whether it's a rap song or a singing song, a lot of them do have some type of rhyming scheme. But I was listening to something, and I was listening to it, and I was like, okay, the way that this person is singing, he's singing where it's like matching with the chords, right? He's like singing like it sounds good together, but the words aren't rhyming at all. He's just saying what he's singing, but there's no rhyme scheme at all, but it still sounds amazing. So that to me, like a year ago, was like, oh, okay, so I can just kind of sit here and just be thinking about something interesting or clever or what's on my mind or whatever, and not have that constraint of this word needs to rhyme with this. I can't think of anything. Okay, I'm gonna go do something else. That's kind of what I would think about like before. But I want to hear a little bit about your perspective, like how you go about writing. Like what is that sort of like in your mind? Like what does that process kind of look like?
well, I grew up writing a lot of poetry. Like I was very, very into like short stories and poetry. So I just really do love writing. And so for poetry, for me, it was really easy to translate that into music just because of what I've been doing on piano for so long. So that really is where that came from. And then it's so funny because when I was younger, I just laugh because I always joke about this, but it is so funny when I laugh at the joke or at the songs that I used to write because they were this like teenage angst emo. My mom would be like, I'd show my mom a song and she'd be like, it's just so sad. She's like, I'm like, I'm just feeling a lot of things, you know what I mean? But that's the thing is like, it was that continuation from when I was younger, just poetry being like an outlet for me. And then taking that to even just like right now, what I would say is, I do a lot of stream of consciousness journaling, where I can't help it. If there's a thought in my head, and I agree with you, that thought in my head does not need to rhyme. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a lyric and I just wrote, it's like, no, it's just a thought. Like, this is a thought in my head, something that I'm like, maybe it's a realization. Maybe it's something that's been a long time coming. Maybe it's something I've thought about 5 times today. And I'm like, okay, I have to write it down. And like, none of it makes sense. And it's not that organized, but it's helped me so much with like lyrics and writing. I did a writing session with some friends of mine that are really talented. Actually, they were in the last show, Late Love Online. It's a couple. The guy, he and I were like, well, we were just like literally sitting in a room. We're just like trying to write something. And so I had my Nord. I was just like, what about this? We had chords. What about this? We have something like fun. And then we went off of that and I pulled out my phone and I had the beginnings of some lyrics. And I only had a tiny bit written, but it didn't matter. Like, it was like so cool that I could just be like, yeah, that was like a month ago that I wrote that. I was like in a totally different place. I was in this place of just like feeling a lot of things and really introspective, and it made for a great hook, basically. Is like, and I'm just like, that's sick. Like, that's what I do because I really struggle with, and you kind of mentioned it too. So like you sit down to write and then you have a block on that thing that you wanted to say in the way that you wanted to say it, and it's like it's not coming out that way, or it doesn't sound right, or it doesn't rhyme, or whatever it is, and then you just stop because like it's so instead of doing that, for me, what I'll do is just like in the moment, if it comes to me, I just write down that little thing. Like, I usually don't. Sometimes I sit down and write a whole song, but I'm a little bit I get a little bit nervous of writing sessions where I would be expected to come up with lyrics in that section. It like specifically come up with lyrics in that session, because what if I probably would come prepared with like a lot of stuff already written. That's which is probably, I assume that's how some people do it, but actually just sitting down from scratch and like, okay, we're doing this right here and now. It's like, okay, like, no pressure. Hope there's no, writer's block, or, my mind hopefully can be focused on this moment. And there's a lot you can do to help that, but I don't know, if it's not really the way I write. So writing sessions with lyrics, I don't know. It's intimidating for me, for sure.
It's more of an organic thing, it sounds like, with you. It's like you kind of, maybe after this conversation, maybe something pops in your head, so you're going to either jot it in your phone or you're going to journal it, and then that's something that when you revisit, when you are in a studio session, maybe you'll kind of reflect back on that and let that be like a jumping off point.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
I was gonna say that's the only way that it's worked so far. But I do know I have a lot of friends that sit down in a studio and work out some things, and it is literally therapy. You know what I mean? So vulnerable place to be as well. So.
Oh, 1,000%. So tell me about one of, I don't know why I always say 1,000%. Like that is a real thing, but it's not. It's like.
I
Yeah.
think it's just. I think it. I think it's
More
just
than
a strong
100.
way of saying I completely agree. It's better than 100%.
Completely.
Which is better.
Yes. Completely, 1,000%
it.
agree with what you. I 1,000% agree with your explanation too. So tell me about the first time you were rated, or one of the first times you were rated, where you just kind of lost your expletive.
I've had a couple. I remember. Well, I mean, like, it's so funny because you end up getting so many that it's just like, oh, there's like all these awesome people that have rated me. But I remember getting started streaming, and going for I think it was only a few weeks, and Halo Scene rated me, and it was scary because I knew who they were, and I watched their streams, and I was really inspired by them, and I decided to play a looped cover of "Stay High." By Tovlo, and I knew that song. The reason I picked it is because I knew it really well, And the thing is I was so scared and so nervous that I got full on stage fright sitting at my computer, but I knew so many more people, hundreds more people were watching me than ever had. And I'm messing up a song that I have played 1,000 times at this point. Just like, I know this is like my best song, but it was so funny. And they were so nice. And they were like, you know what I mean? Just like, I do that as much as I can too, is like, if there's someone out anytime I see someone that's like, just seems like they're starting out streaming, or if someone tells me that it's someone's first or second stream, anything like that, or just like, you know, you don't know, but you go into their chat and then you go raid them and then they say, this is my first raid. That's happened to me. I mean, not like a ton of times, but like a few times where I've just been like, I'm your first raid. So cool. Yeah.
That's one of the things, you know, about Twitch when I was, you know, a lot more regularly using it is the community, first of all, specifically the Twitch music community. I know a lot of people talk about how great and supportive, you know, a lot of the people, all the people that I've spoken to, either on the show or even just interacted with elsewhere, it's really a great community there. And then just the fact that they have that ability, the rating thing is really interesting for me as a math and analytical guy. I remember like falling into a trap of, you know, really like when I first started streaming and working on my schedule, I'm like, okay, my schedule is because I had a lot more free time. Like over the summer, I used to be a middle school math teacher, so I had like the summer to really just kind of dive in and like stream when I think it makes the most sense. So I like literally, and I'm not at all embarrassed to say it, which is why I'll share it right now. I literally like went on, you know, a few other people who I've interacted with a little bit, their stream schedules, and like said, all right, I want to focus my stream around their stream schedules in hopes to get rated. And it was, as you could imagine, that strategy is dangerous because now it turns into your stream being a disappointment if you're not rated.
Yes.
And I fell into that many times when I first started, up into the point where a bit of a realization for me was it was a couple things. It was one, looking at just the vast number of extremely talented and you know great people who are on this platform, and specifically ones who are streaming at the same time that I happen to be streaming whenever I am, and knowing that there are one or two or a handful or however many people in my stream, instead of being in someone else's, or instead of doing literally anything else in the world, they're vibing with me. That to me was like a big moment of saying, okay, there's something a lot more important here for me to take away from, you know, the streaming aspect, which is how much fun am I having, and the fact that it's bringing value to someone or some subset of people. So that's something that stuck with me, that when I do start back up again, it's going to be a lot more about, you know, realizing the importance and not really thinking about some of the other things that can be toxic if you're focused too much on that, you know?
Yeah. I have actually been in a situation with a friend where I really did watch some of those things that you focus on that they're not helpful. Like I saw that take over, and like I know what it looks like to where like it was almost like for example, I watched my friend get raided by another streamer, and this isn't in the music space actually, but get raided, and it was like they didn't like it. They were like, "Ooh, I think this person's just trying to come in and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, no. Raids are good. Raids means follows. This is a network. This is a connection. You take it, run with it, go or don't. But like this, you know, even if someone rated you for like some bad like it doesn't matter. Who literally cares? Because I think that the people that I'm the most inspired by in the stream space, they believe in their content and what they bring to the table, the unique thing that they bring to the table. They believe in that and they focus on that. So like instead of looking outward at like everybody else's stream and like what everyone else is doing that's correct or not correct, because straight up too, I can't tell you how many people have asked me, what do you do for this specific thing? I'm like, okay, I can tell you what I do, but I could name 3 or 4 other streamers right now that do it differently than me and are very successful. So as I say this, I don't even know how to like give you the right advice, because you could do it and then I'm gonna feel bad if you don't like see anything good come from it. And the other people like there are other people too that be like, wow, you've been streaming a long time, like you must know what you're doing. And I'm like, Wait, so are you talking about the trial and error that 2.5 years later I'm still doing? Like, I still don't know what will work and what won't work at any level or with anything I'm doing. Look at Late Night Buzz. I these are all things that it's like, okay, well, let's try it and see what happens and learn from it. I have almost gone in different directions with my streams and then had to kind of like calibrate and be like, okay, well, what do I like the most? What's easiest for me, but that's also enjoyable for other people? People pleasing is a hard one too, because if you think too much about what your viewers want and it's not what you also enjoy doing, that's like a really slippery slope, you know?
That's definitely a dangerous thing, and I think you hit it on the head as well. So I agree 1,000% on that one as well. With regards to the notion of there being so much information that we're capable of getting. Like if you were to research on, how to Twitch in 2022 on YouTube, right? You'll get some stuff that for the most part is super beneficial and helpful and almost you can say factual, like things that are kind of
Yeah.
clear cut. But
Basic.
just
Yeah, yeah.
in general, when it comes to content or to information or advice or tutorials or just things like that, I was just talking to someone earlier, a fellow music producer. There's a little bit of danger when it comes to listening to people give advice on things that worked for them or that they believe is true, and they say it in a way, or maybe it's received in a way that it's gospel or that it's factual. And I'll give you an example of that. Like in the music space, like for people who use a lot of music equipment and gear and things like that, or different software that they use to record. You may get someone online that said, and look, believe me, I almost like kind of would do some of this as well when I first started my YouTube channel, right? Like I would communicate in a way where it wasn't me saying that this is how I feel or how this works for me. It was kind of me saying that, but maybe people receiving it as like this is the way that you should do it as well. But when it comes to music and when it comes to everything, like it's so wrong, as you know, to think that way, right? It's kind of like one of the things where just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. There's so many differences between Julie and the person that asks you advice, that the stuff that you do that works for you maybe comes, more naturally to you, or maybe, there's attributes about your personality where it works better, whereas the other person is different and it may not work better. So there's so many factors that I'm having just a bit of awareness. I recorded a tutorial on a app on my iPad earlier this morning at like 5 in the morning when I'm sitting there with my daughter who's like trying to get to go to sleep. It's like her crying in the background and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
literally,
gonna
it's
watch
like
that.
you could hear like a little bit. Yeah, yeah. And so I recorded that and I actually just posted it today. But at a moment in there, I talked about this very thing about like, I'm sharing something with you guys. This is really working well for me. But it doesn't mean that this is the way, and
Yeah.
it's just a super, I think, important sentiment.
Yeah. And I think too, I always feel bad because I feel like people don't want to hear that. And I'm like, I don't know what else to say though, because I think that success, is like from what I've seen on Twitch, success is a recipe, and it can like there are different little things that you even just said it, like there are different little things that contribute to that. And I always like have a love-hate relationship with like finding out what other people think are my things. Like for my like oh, Julie's stream is successful for this reason or this reason. I'm like, oh, okay, like that's what they see on their end. I have my own opinion on like what grew my stream and how. And it's probably a mixture between both of those truths. Honestly, I see what I see. They see, but again, that's why I say it's a recipe. It's so many different things. It's like, that's why I really struggle when someone's like, oh, well, this person only blew up because of this, or they got, their stream only grew because of this. I'm like, that anytime someone says that, I'm like, I'm more suspicious of you, the person that said that, than I am whether or not that's true. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, I know that it's out there as a rumor it's basically rumor at this point. Twitch hasn't come out and said anything about it yet, but it's out enough on the internet that I think it's believed to be what they're plan is coming up. I don't know. I have no idea if that's really the case, but if it is, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to process, and I don't know. It's funny to be on streamer Twitter, and I literally call it streamer Twitter because it 100% is. It's just this group of streamers all talking about the same thing, and so we're all, the way that Twitter algorithms work, we're all just like seeing the same stuff. And I see it online, and like, people are worried. People seem very, very worried, upset, maybe just like, it's really hard for me to even say more on it because I don't know if it's actually going to happen. If it was going to happen, I'm concerned as well, for sure. So
Definitely. Yeah. That,
we don't know.
that's,
You know.
we don't, yeah, how that's going to play out. And people have always said that, just that whole idea about platforms are able and capable of doing whatever they need to do in order to, take care of themselves, for lack of a better word. And it puts us as content creators in a little bit of a difficult situation, when it comes to that. Like I know several people. I think the platform was called Mixer back in the day, a few months or year, I guess years ago now.
Last year, right?
Last year,
Last year,
right?
something like that.
Right. People had like their whole base on there, and and then just out of nowhere it just kind of changes like that. But I guess ultimately, like, there's two ways of looking at any of these types of changes. One way is kind of like, whatever happens, you and all other streamers you still have your talent, you still have your experience, and then of course you still have your audience through the things of Discord and those types of places. So it's kind of like, it's like, I'm interested in seeing when platforms make such a serious thing like this, and it actually does happen, and people start looking at, okay, well, I'll see you guys later over here on this other platform. Like, I believe that if what I read was, accurate, like the numbers were actually end up happening, I feel like there's going to be a ton of people, in my opinion, who are going to look a little bit closer at what YouTube is doing right now. And what YouTube is doing is they're trying to position themselves in a way to offer these features, right? To offer these things that people have grown to love and know on Twitch. I was and still am, although I haven't paid as much attention to it now, but when I was streaming a lot more often, I was extremely interested and curious about Twitch versus YouTube for streaming. One of the things, as a YouTube content creator, one of the things that I absolutely needed and was really, 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 really excited to see if YouTube would ever implement was the ability to have it so that if you are watching one of my, many videos that I publish on my YouTube channel, if you happen to be watching one and I happen to be live at that moment, originally there was no way for you to know that I was live unless if you clicked on my channel and saw, oh, he's live, and I have like my channel thing up there. Now they finally are going to have a live ring around my face or my icon, where if you're watching a video, you can click my icon, it'll go to my live stream. So to me, that was like a thing. And that was the thing that I felt. I use the word game changing a lot. People joke around like, how can everything be game changing? Well, yeah, I guess you're right. I have to kind of be a little bit selective. But I believe that could be really, really significant for people who are into live streaming like me, but who didn't necessarily want to have a separate platform to kind of grow. And that's kind of my challenge with Twitch, was like, I needed to grow this platform. And for the most part, it's kind of a different audience, different things that I'm doing on both of the different areas. So yeah, I think there's going to be people that start looking a little bit closer at what the things that YouTube has on the pipeline for this year.
Absolutely. I've already seen that. And it's very interesting. And I don't do a whole lot with YouTube. I mean, I have considered putting VODs up there. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people that do that already. But as far as like live streaming and everything, that is something that would be new to me. It is very scary to think about growing any new platform. And even, other people will be like, but you have this platform to, and I'm like, but you know what I mean? That doesn't always translate. You got people on TikTok that are killing it, and that doesn't always mean that it's across the board. Sometimes it does, but I'm just saying, like, growing each platform is its own thing, and it is always down to consistency. And every time I read that, it's weird because something inside me is like, oh man, now, like it's almost like just like puts it into your brain. Well, I haven't started, So how can I even be consistent? So then it just kind of like brings you further back from like ever getting going. I just need to do it. Just, you know what I mean? Just put out the cover, you know, have some kind of put out the cover, put out the whatever for just YouTube as far as like not live streaming. That's something that I've wanted to do more of anyways. And I see a lot of people doing it and they're putting time and effort into it. And it definitely does take that. There's a lot of people too that just use their streams. So they're smart. They're repurposing content. And that's another thing that is, I think, a really good idea. As far as live streaming, I don't know that much as far as YouTube goes, but it is really interesting to just be online and see like the reaction right now and what people are saying and what they're thinking and exactly what you said, what they're considering. It's very interesting.
Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, it's a glass, you know, you look at the glass half full, or you take the positive out of any situation, which is to
Yeah.
say that it can be an opportunity to, yeah, just not even reset, but reset a little bit, like to look at the bigger picture
Mm-hmm.
here and kind of see, okay, well, you know, this, and again, all hypothetical kind of at this point, but you know, to kind of think about what makes the most sense. And it's, yeah, it's easy to fall into a dire straits kind of situation or perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
I get that 1,000%. Um, but I think there's going to be opportunity for yourself and others. And I mean, what we talked about to kick this conversation off, that is gonna transcend, in my opinion, or can, if you would like it to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, transcend what it means to be a streamer. Because now you're streaming, but now you're doing something, as we mentioned earlier, that is so much bigger than solely streaming, in my opinion. The idea of the in person, the idea of
Mm-hmm.
connection, the
Mm-hmm.
idea of people who will pay money to go to attend this type of show, who
Mm-hmm.
may not pay money to attend some other type of show because they know intricately so much about maybe several of the member or people who are going to be performing. And so it's like it's a different kind of, and they want to support obviously too. It's like, oh, whatever, you know, the cost of admission, like as I've learned just recently, like people want to, for the most part, not everyone, but they want to pay money for, I thought I heard someone knocking on the door, but no, that wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get like one of those on air signs on my door there. Like, unless if it's an
Oh yeah.
emergency, like don't, like, you know. But yeah, they'll want to pay money to support people that they really appreciate. So I can
Absolutely.
1,000% see myself, if you'll have me, performing at a future show and definitely attending a future show because I'm so excited about it.
I would love to have you. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So like when I think about this, like the progression, it's funny that you talked about the progression because I didn't really think about that. But I mean, we all came out of whatever. Like as I look back, there's just so many streamers that started streaming during COVID, right before COVID, or like that first quarantine is what literally so many people. I started 3 months before, so I started November of 2019, and I was already hoping to make it something that was my full time job, but I wasn't yet. And then my job shut down, or my whole like the I lived in Vegas at the time. Vegas just shut down. You know what I mean? So I didn't have a job, and that's what boosted me into it. But here's the thing: during all of that, late night buzz could not have been a thing. You know what I mean? That was not in the cards at that time. And so it is very much the progression of we all had that time. It's in the music space. We had that time, but we weren't really going to meet each other mostly. You know what I mean? I had friends in Vegas that were streamers in Vegas, and I never met them because of like COVID and quarantine and everything. So it was just like, okay, well, now as more live music is happening, and even during this quarantine period is when a lot of people were on Twitch. I think they're like anxious for. I think they're like hungry for it. It might have been something that we were doing from the beginning if it wasn't like if not for all of these social media or social distancing requirements and everything like that. So if I look at from that, and then also what, like, for example, what late night buzz is right now, and then kind of like you said, the potential for it. I really think there's lots of people wanting to do exactly what I'm doing. There's lots of people, and I see it everywhere. I see people finally getting together and making a show and creating something cool out of it. And that actually, I did want to, it's so funny because it's like I'm like, oh, look at this beautiful progression. But I became very inspired by a late night buzz, and this is something that I'm going to be opening up literally next week. So I hate to bring this up with you because we haven't even talked about it, but I am starting a Discord for Twitch music in LA, and it's for all of California. But it's time. We have a Twitch music Discord. There is an LA Discord, but like Twitch music in LA. And there's so many events. I am not the only one. It was so funny. I talked to Mark Nificent not that long. Mark, he's so great. He's doing live IRL shows. He's literally doing them. He's putting them on. So it's like we've been talking, and he is a big part of this of the Discord that we're doing. So I've also gotten together with some other creators, and I'm happy to talk about this. I'm sure they'd be fine with it as well because we're all doing this together. CA in LA is also going to be part of that. So we're gonna go live with that in a little bit here, and just make sure it's like all properly set up. And I want it to be this avenue for not just like it is not just for live shows. This is just a space for streamers to meet each other. It's also for viewers. So like you don't have to be California based to be part of it. You don't have to be a streamer, but you have a role if you want it. You can have a role to be a California based streamer. And then let's open the door. Like, do you want to do like we have a couple very specific things we want to do. One of them, and it's in the works right now. So Mark might hate me for saying this, but I don't care. I'm going to say it anyways because I'm excited. I'm honestly really excited about all of this. But we have plans of what I would call, the way I would describe it is an open mic, an IRL streamed open mic. So it's different than Late Night Buzz because I invite people to be in Late Night Buzz. And to be honest, for the first and second show, it's really just been friends of mine, and we're all getting together and streaming. That's why I say it had a co-stream aspect to it, especially to me. This is different because I want to allow people to sign up. So I might not even know you really, or I might know you, I'll know you from your stream, but and we want to create a space that's somewhere IRL. We'll give the date. You can bring your instrument if you want to, and you can plug in and play a little bit. You can, maybe we'll only do a couple songs for each person to see how many people we can fit in there. We're going to make sure it's in areas in LA that we're allowed to do it. And we'll be there to kind of help too. Like that's, you know what I mean? That's the whole point of it. But that's something that I'm really excited to get started, as well as Late Night Buzz. And then also some of these other IRL shows that other people are already doing. I want them posting in our Discord so that other people know about them. You know what I mean? Like word of mouth is great. Posting on social media is great, but I love the idea of having a space for all of that because there's a lot of people that could co-write together, and I just don't know if they have the means to not means to meet each other, but like no one wants to reach out and then have someone else feel like they're just being used. So like, how do you connect in a way that's like, this is a mutually beneficial, but also I just like your stream and like, I'm inspired by what you do. It's not this terrible thing. It's like, or it's not this, again, like as we talk about like some of the people that I know who get a little suspicious or can't see maybe a little further with that of like not just making friends, but this is really this is how you grow is true connection and networking. And I think it's, for me, it's what makes it fun as well. So like the community aspect of Twitch, this live community aspect, and then with the Discord, giving other people the opportunity to like just kind of, it's kind of like we're accepting that this is where it's going. And I just I'm like, how do we help facilitate that? I feel like I've been accused lately of I had one of my viewers accuse me of doing too many co-streams. And I was like, that might just be my thing. Like, it might just be my thing that I really do like to get together with other creators. And I think it's exciting. I think it's one of the best parts of Twitch. I think that I didn't even get really into Twitch in the right way. Like I feel like I am now until I started meeting other creators and like really, really, I think being inspired by them, as well. So I'm excited. We've got a lot of like really cool things happening, and it's like you said, it's the potential, but it's like also not just potential because it's literally already happening. And I see it around me, and I'm excited for what we're doing. But again, people are doing this and they will continue to do it. So yeah, it's just the future, basically.
That's super exciting. I love the idea of the open mic. The open mic, it's going to open up a lot of potential, right? For
Mm-hmm.
people who are who want to who want that audience and who want to put themselves out there. And maybe like myself, for example, like I had a chance like to do an open mic maybe several months ago, and it was my first time ever
Mm.
playing in public in this type of setting where everyone's watching me versus like playing at like somewhere where people are maybe passing by kind of thing.
Oh wow.
And I actually sang as well, and it was like I was so happy to kind of get that under my belt because for one, the microphone that they had there didn't have the ability for me to just dial up reverb like I usually would do on my live streams to like offset any imperfections in the voice and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really cool just to kind of get that experience out there. And I got like the itch of saying, this is totally different
Mm-hmm.
than live streaming. It's like
It's
people are
so
looking at you.
different.
I can talk to them, and it's like it's totally different. And again, like I mentioned earlier, both are really amazing in their own ways. But the fact that you're kind of melding the two together now is incredible. So I do want to be respectful of time. We have a couple minutes left. I want to ask one more question,
Okay.
and I want you. It is a different kind of question, just a little bit about you. But if you can name one place that you've visited before that you absolutely loved, I would be curious to know where that might be.
A place that I've visited that I've loved. Oh, that's so hard. I just thought of three different places. I literally did just think of a bunch of different places. Oh, okay. Zion is the first one. Zion National Park. I went to school in Salt Lake, so I wasn't close to it. But I have family that lives in southern Utah, and that's close to where Zion National Park is. And there's a hike called Angel's Landing, and like I'll never forget it. It's a crazy hike. There's like a chain as you get to the top that you have you ever done it or do you know Angel's Landing? Okay, it's insane because you get to the top of it, and like I will say, like it's kind of crazy to say this, but like people have definitely like died. Like it's dangerous when you get to the top. You have to like hold this chain because it's just like there's very little space for your feet. It's very crazy. But you get to the top of that hike. Every time I get to the top of that hike, I'm like, there is literally no other place that I would rather be. And I've done that hike a number of times. Every single time I get to the top, and I'm like, this was so worth it, everything it took to drive here and get here. And like, there's no place in the world I would rather be right now than looking over basically all of that, a big portion. You're able to see quite a bit from that like upper point, or not everything, but so that's one place. The next place I would say. Oh, it's hard. I can't remember because like I went to multiple. I did camp as a kid. I did camp every year, like summer camp, and one of the places we went, and this is in Idaho. I want to say Island Park, but I will never forget being in the middle of a forest and looking up and finally and just seeing all of the stars, and I was like, there are a lot of stars. There are way more than I've ever seen. Like you go in the cities and you're like, yeah, I see some stars. And then you go somewhere there where there's no light pollution at all, the middle of the freaking forest in Island Park where we were camping. And it's just peaceful. And like, you question, you're like, no, you don't not question, but just like thinking about your place in the world among the stars and like, just, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a beautiful, I always think of that. And actually would love to go back and do like a little camping trip there. But, and then the last place I would say, there's a place I went to Bali in 2018, and I went to Uluwatu, and it's all about the cliffs there, and there is a cliff in Uluwatu that I will never ever ever forget. I think, and that was another moment of just like this is there is literally nowhere else I would rather be right now than watching this sunset on this cliff, and like hopefully never forget it. You know.
Right. Love it. Those types of, I love asking that question. Yeah, because all three of those places that you just mentioned, I've never heard of. So now I
Mm.
have some different perspective, and I'm sure there's so much. Not I'm sure. I am sure, and we all know that there's so much beauty in the world, and certainly just in the United States, and probably even in the state that we currently in that we may not have even discovered yet. So I think that's a pretty cool question to ask, just to kind of shed some light on, what else is out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to say, number one, so glad that we were able to do this and thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. And as I mentioned before, just all the really cool things that you're doing that are, community focused for people in the music space, I think is gonna it has to be rewarding for you, and it's also going to help so many people as well. So it's just like a really, really great thing that you're doing. Um, and I look forward to kind of seeing how this, how it plays out. Look, I'm definitely gonna join. Like, so there'll be a way for people to be physically there, and then people like myself to watch the virtual stream on the 25th in June, right?
Yeah, actually, and I'm going to say, I don't even know if I really said that. So, the show is on the 25th. It is at Moon Goat Coffee in Costa Mesa. This is in Orange County, California. But the entire thing will be streamed on my channel, just like the first one. The entire thing will be streamed on my channel. We are going to start it up, I believe it's 6:30 p.m. Pacific this time. And then, yeah, it'll just be 11 different artists. Two of them are from out of town, and the rest are California-based musicians, and all streamers. But yeah, I would love to have you tune in. If you can tune in, anybody that can tune in, I would love to have you tune in if you can come to the live show. I mean, that's part of the goal as well, is like if people can come to the show. And that's again why I was like, I don't know if I should tell you the lineup, but I kind of want to. But I will do a big announcement. I will do like a big, yeah, for sure.
For sure, for sure. Well, like I said, yeah, keep up the great work, and I will definitely, be reaching out to you once this episode, like a few days before, maybe a week before
Okay.
episode's release. You can kind of have it on your radar, and yeah, I'm so glad that we did this. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And you as well. Congratulations again with everything.